Today we gather not in celebration but in quiet contemplation, a moment of reflection as we mark 30 years since the passing of Lyle Talbot. For many, his name might conjure images of a dependable character actor, a familiar face in countless films, a man who worked tirelessly in the golden age of Hollywood. But what if I told you that beneath that affable exterior, Lyle Talbot carried a secret, a profound understanding of the industry's true nature, a truth he took to his grave? This wasn't a secret of scandal or hidden vice, but rather a chilling insight into the profound, often hidden agony that plagued the very stars we adored, the system that built them up only to sometimes tear them down. His life and the lives of those he watched rise and fall serve as a testament to the complex, often brutal dance between art and commerce, fame and fragility. This is the story Lyle Talbot tried to warn us about, a story of unspoken pain and the unyielding pressures that shaped an era. Lyle Talbot, a name synonymous with versatility and an unwavering work ethic, graced the silver screen in over 150 films and appeared in countless television shows. From the early 1930s, he was a fixture, a reliable presence in every genre imaginable, a leading man in pre-code dramas, a wisecracking sidekick, a menacing villain, and later, a comforting father figure in sitcoms like The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet. He was the kind of actor whose face you knew, even if you couldn't always place the name, a true journeyman of the golden age, always on call, always delivering. He embodied the Hollywood dream of steady employment, a testament to his talent and adaptability in an industry that was anything but stable. His golden years were marked by a consistent presence, a quiet dignity, and a long, full life that saw him work well into his 80s. He was, to all outward appearances, a success story, a man who navigated the treacherous waters of show business with grace and longevity. But beneath that calm surface, Lyle Talbot was fighting a war, a silent, perilous battle on behalf of every actor who ever stepped foot on a soundstage. The hidden pressures Talbot faced were not about his own career, but about the very foundation of the industry itself. You see, the golden age, for all its glamour, was built upon a system of absolute control. Actors were essentially property, bound by 7-year contracts that amounted to modern-day indentured servitude. They had no say in their roles, their salaries, or even their personal lives. Their schedules were grueling, 18-hour days were not uncommon, and their voices, their very humanity, were suppressed. Lyle Talbot witnessed this exploitation firsthand, and he could not stand by. The secret he carried, the profound, career-ending risk he undertook, was his role as one of the original, clandestine founders of the Screen Actors Guild. He was member number 7. Think about that for a second. In an era when studio heads wielded dictatorial power, when challenging the system meant professional annihilation, Talbot and a handful of others met in secret, risking everything to fight for basic human rights and dignity for their fellow performers. This was an act of immense courage, a quiet revolution masked by his public persona. He had to maintain a 1,000-watt smile for the cameras, knowing that a single misstep, a whisper of his involvement, could end his career instantly. The tension of this double life, the compliant actor on screen, the fearless revolutionary in the shadows, must have been immense, a constant underlying hum of anxiety that few could ever comprehend. Lyle Talbot lived to be 94, a remarkable age, and officially, his passing was attributed to natural causes. But the true story, the secret weight he carried, suggests a deeper, more profound toll. He endured the stress of that lifelong fight for actors' rights, the compromises he had to make to stay within the system while simultaneously trying to dismantle its injustices. He watched year after year as the studio machine chewed up and spit out countless talents, leaving a trail of broken dreams and shattered lives. The underlying condition, the silent battle that truly defined his final days, wasn't a physical ailment, but the emotional and psychological burden of his lifelong commitment to justice. And then there's the savage irony, the twist of fate that often defines Hollywood's most poignant stories. Lyle Talbot, a founding father of the union that fought tirelessly for actors' rights and dignity against exploitation, is now perhaps most famously remembered by cult film aficionados for his work with Ed Wood. Ed Wood, the self-proclaimed worst director of all time, who operated entirely outside the union system, making films on shoestring budgets with non-union crews and actors, often exploiting their desperation. The man who dedicated his life to building a fortress of protection for actors ended his cinematic journey working in the lawless wilderness outside its walls. He won the war for everyone else, yet in the end, the chaos of the business still had the last word on his own story. It's a stark reminder that even the greatest victories can have unexpected, bittersweet echoes. Orson Welles. Now there was a name that echoed with genius and tragedy in equal measure. He burst onto the Hollywood scene like a comet, a boy wonder whose audacious talent promised to revolutionize cinema. His masterpiece, Citizen Kane, released in 1941, is still considered by many to be the greatest film ever made. Welles was given unprecedented creative control, a rare privilege, and he used it to craft cinematic poetry, pushing boundaries and challenging conventions. His golden years, though brief in their full glory, were a dazzling display of artistic ambition and unparalleled vision. He was a force of nature, a brilliant mind that saw film not just as entertainment, but as a profound art form. He directed, he wrote, he acted. He was a true auteur before the term was even widely understood. The world watched, captivated, as he painted with light and shadow, sound and narrative, creating works that would resonate for generations. He stood at the pinnacle, a beacon of artistic integrity, ready to reshape the very landscape of storytelling. But Hollywood, as Lyle Talbot knew, had a way of punishing those who dared to defy its rigid structure, especially those who challenged its commercial instincts. The hidden pressures on Welles were immense, a clash between his artistic integrity and the studio's commercial demands. The secret Lyle Talbot understood, the one that haunted the backlots, wasn't a specific confession, but a quiet, first-hand testimony to Hollywood's greatest crime against art. After the unprecedented creative freedom of Citizen Kane, Welles had embarked on his next project, The Magnificent Ambersons. It was a film steeped in American melancholy, a poignant look at a fading era. But the studio, RKO, panicked. They saw a somber masterpiece, not a box office hit. In 1942, while Welles was in South America filming another project for the studio, RKO seized The Magnificent Ambersons from him. They drastically cut it, deleting nearly an hour of footage, and, in an act of cinematic vandalism that still stings today, they shot a new, upbeat ending to replace Welles's original, somber, and deeply profound conclusion. And here's where Lyle Talbot, the ever-present working actor, enters this tragic tale. The actor they hired for those reshoots, the very scenes that would permanently disfigure Welles's film and symbolize his downfall, was none other than Lyle Talbot. Talbot, the consummate professional, the working man who needed to put food on the table, became an unwitting instrument in the vivisection of genius. The secret is this. The golden age was a system where a jobbing actor like Talbot could, just by showing up to work and hitting his mark, participate in the destruction of a master like Welles. It was a transaction that revealed the system's cold industrial heart, a truth Talbot embodied and Welles spent a lifetime raging against. It's hard to accept when a talent like that is stifled, isn't it? When pure artistic vision is sacrificed on the altar of commercial viability, it makes you wonder what other masterpieces we lost, doesn't it? The tragic timeline of Orson Welles' later years is a heartbreaking testament to this struggle. While he passed away officially from a heart attack in 1985, his physical death was preceded by decades of professional heartbreak and creative compromise. The autopsy report doesn't show the weight of 1,000 battles fought for funding, the constant struggle to maintain artistic control, or the profound sorrow of having his visions mutilated by studio executives. His heart didn't just fail, it was exhausted from a lifelong war against a system that, after Ambersons, never truly trusted him again. He was forced to become a journeyman actor for hire, appearing in commercials, taking guest roles, and lending his iconic voice to narrations, all to scrape together money for his own independent projects. Films he often struggled for years, sometimes decades, to complete. The irony is savage, isn't it? Orson Welles began his career as the ultimate Hollywood outsider, a boy wonder with unprecedented creative control. He ended it as the very type of working performer Lyle Talbot had been his whole life. A cog in the machine, trying to earn enough to fund his true passions. The system he tried to conquer ultimately forced him into the role he despised, a ghost haunting the machine that had broken him, forever chasing the echo of his early unfettered brilliance. Hedy Lamarr. The very name conjures an image of unparalleled beauty, a face that launched 1,000 dreams. She was hailed as the most beautiful woman in the world, a vision of exotic allure who captivated audiences from the moment she first appeared on screen. Her early films, particularly Ecstasy, and later Hollywood productions like Algiers and Samson and Delilah, cemented her status as a global icon. Her golden years were defined by this breathtaking mystique, a star whose presence alone was enough to draw crowds. She was the epitome of Hollywood glamour, draped in silks and jewels, her gaze capable of conveying a universe of unspoken desire. For many, she was simply a beautiful object, a silent siren whose appeal was purely visual. But to see Hedy Lamarr only through the lens of her physical perfection is to miss a crucial, heartbreaking part of her story. It is to fall into the very trap that Hollywood itself set for her, a cage of beauty that obscured a mind of extraordinary brilliance. A mind that yearned to be seen and appreciated for more than just its outer shell. The studio system, with its relentless focus on image, would prove to be both her making and her undoing, a constant source of both fame and profound frustration. The hidden pressures on Hedy Lamarr were perhaps the most insidious of all. the constant battle against being reduced to a mere ornament. Lyle Talbot, as a man of the system, a witness to its inner workings, understood this. The secret that he and his generation of Hollywood men carried wasn't about a single affair or a hidden contract, but something far more pervasive. The unspoken, industry-wide consensus to profit from Hedy Lamarr's face while systematically dismissing her mind. You see, Hedy Lamarr was not just an actress. She was a self-taught inventor, a brilliant woman with a keen scientific intellect. During World War II, she co-invented an early technique for spread-spectrum communications and frequency hopping, designed to help guide torpedoes. This technology, patented in 1942, is the very bedrock of modern Wi-Fi, GPS, and Bluetooth. But what did Hollywood tell her to do with this genius? They told her to sell war bonds by kissing sailors. The hidden agony wasn't that she was beautiful. It's that her beauty was used as a cage, a gilded prison that prevented anyone from seeing her true capabilities. Men like Talbot, who were part of the machine, were the silent observers who knew the lock was on the outside. They saw her intelligence, perhaps even admired it. But the system they were part of was not built to celebrate such unexpected brilliance in a woman whose primary value was her appearance. It's a stark reminder that sometimes the greatest treasures are hidden in plain sight, overlooked because they don't fit our preconceived notions. Hedy Lamarr's final days were marked by profound reclusion, a retreat from the world that had so profoundly misunderstood her. Officially, her passing was attributed to atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease. But for those who understood her story, who witnessed the decades of erasure and dismissal, it was a death from 1,000 cuts. A heart that finally gave out after being systematically devalued and ignored for a lifetime. She became a recluse, not because she was hiding from the world, but because she was hiding from what the world had done to her. Her later years were shadowed by financial struggles, legal battles, and a deep sense of isolation. The woman who gave the world a secret communication system to enable secure, private connections died a virtual recluse, profoundly disconnected from the very world she had helped to build. She provided the key to a future of global communication, yet was never truly heard herself. It's an irony that twists the heart, isn't it? The person who helped us connect across vast distances ultimately found herself profoundly alone, a testament to the tragic chasm that can exist between public image and private reality, between what one offers the world and what the world is willing to receive. Montgomery Clift, the very name still evokes a sense of raw, captivating intensity. He was one of the original method actors, a pioneer who brought an unprecedented depth and vulnerability to the screen. In the 1950s, he redefined leading men, moving beyond the traditional stoic heroes to portray complex, often troubled characters who resonated deeply with audiences. Films like A Place in the Sun, From Here to Eternity, and Raintree County showcased his magnetic appeal and his revolutionary approach to acting. His golden years were a meteoric rise, a period where he was considered one of the most talented and handsome stars in Hollywood, a rival to the likes of Marlon Brando and James Dean. He was sensitive, brooding, and impossibly beautiful, a new kind of masculinity that was both powerful and fragile. The camera loved him, and audiences adored the emotional honesty he brought to every role. He was not just a star, he was an artistic force, pushing the boundaries of what was expected from a Hollywood actor. But behind the dazzling performances and the adoring fans, Clift carried a heavy burden, a secret life that the rigid studio system of the time demanded he conceal. Lyle Talbot, an industry man from the ground up and a founder of the Screen Actors Guild, saw it all, the relentless machinery of Hollywood. The secret he understood, the one that haunted the backlots, wasn't just a specific incident, but a systemic truth. The Golden Age's greatest product was often manufactured agony. Talbot witnessed how the studio machine built Montgomery Clift into a fragile god of this new, sensitive masculinity. But it was a conditional godhood. The price was absolute conformity. The secret is that the system required Clift to hide his true self, his homosexuality, and his deep-seated insecurities behind a flawless facade. The pressure to maintain this lie, to live a double life in the public eye, was immense, a constant, gnawing burden. Then, in 1956, a devastating car accident changed everything. His face, once his most defining feature, was severely damaged. When his close friend Elizabeth Taylor pulled him from the wreckage, his face wasn't the only thing that was shattered. The mask he had so carefully constructed was, too. Talbot knew the studios weren't equipped to handle broken men, only broken contracts. They couldn't, or wouldn't, save him. His slow, painful public disintegration wasn't a private tragedy. It was a quiet, sanctioned execution by a system that had no use for a damaged icon, a system that demanded perfection and had no mercy for vulnerability. It makes you wonder, doesn't it, about the toll that kind of constant pretense takes on a person's soul? Montgomery Clift's final years were a heartbreaking descent, a 10-year spiral of personal demons following that fateful accident. Officially, his passing in 1966 was due to occlusive coronary artery disease. But for those inside the system, it was the final surrender after what insiders grimly termed the longest suicide in Hollywood history. The physical injuries from the crash were immense, requiring multiple surgeries, but the emotional and psychological scars ran far deeper. He battled a profound dependency on substances, seeking solace from the constant pain, the disfigurement, and the unbearable pressure of a life he could no longer control. The man who revolutionized Hollywood by bringing an unprecedented emotional reality and vulnerability to the screen became a legend by refusing to be fake for the camera. Yet, off-camera, his entire existence became a grueling performance. Pretending he wasn't gay, pretending he wasn't in constant physical pain, pretending he wasn't drowning in his own personal struggles. The man who made his name on truth was ultimately destroyed by the lie he was forced to live, a truth that Lyle Talbot and others like him witnessed with a quiet, knowing sadness. It's a tragic testament to the destructive power of a system that demanded a perfect image, even at the cost of a human soul. Gene Tierney, her luminous beauty and striking eyes made her one of the most captivating stars of the 1940s. She was the quintessential femme fatale in film noir, like Laura, a woman whose enigmatic allure could ensnare any man. Her golden years were a parade of iconic roles, showcasing her unique blend of sophistication and vulnerability. She was a vision, a dream, gracing the screen with an elegance that felt both timeless and utterly modern. Her career seemed destined for even greater heights, a trajectory of stardom that promised endless accolades and artistic triumphs. But like so many stars of that era, beneath the polished surface, there was an undercurrent of immense pressure and profound personal struggle. The demands of Hollywood extended far beyond the soundstage, weaving their way into the very fabric of her private life, and ultimately, leading to a tragedy that would haunt her for decades. The studio system, in its relentless pursuit of perfection, often overlooked the fragile humanity of the stars it created, leaving them vulnerable to the unforeseen cruelties of fate and the profound impact of their public lives. For 30 years, Lyle Talbot, a founding father of the Screen Actors Guild and a man who saw the dark underbelly of the studio system, took a secret to his grave. It wasn't a conspiracy, but a chilling truth whispered among the Hollywood elite, a truth he would have known when he shared the screen with Gene Tierney in The Razor's Edge. The secret was the horrifying specifics of Tierney's breakdown, a tragedy rooted in the very nature of her fame. While pregnant during World War II and volunteering at the Hollywood canteen, an adoring female Marine broke quarantine to meet her idol. "You're my absolute favorite," she said, giving Tierney a kiss. The fan had German measles. Months later, Tierney's daughter Daria was born deaf, partially blind, and with severe cognitive disabilities. The secret Talbot and his generation carried was the unbearable knowledge that the very mechanism of fame, a fan's love, an innocent gesture, had become a biological weapon, destroying a star's life in the most intimate way imaginable. It was the ultimate hidden agony of the Golden Age. Your audience, the very people who adored you, could literally, physically destroy you. I'm sure many of you remember a time when you met a hero, and perhaps, for a moment, you felt that surge of connection. But imagine the profound, unimaginable grief that followed such an encounter for Gene Tierney. It's a heavy thought, isn't it? The unexpected costs of celebrity. The way life can turn on a single, unforeseen moment. The tragic timeline of Gene Tierney's later life was a long, arduous journey through profound personal suffering. The immense guilt and heartbreak over her daughter's condition, coupled with the pressures of Hollywood, led to a severe decline in her mental well-being. She battled profound emotional struggles, enduring multiple hospitalizations and treatments. In a quest to cultivate a smokier, more sophisticated voice for the screen, a departure from her natural, higher pitch, Tierney began a lifelong smoking habit. The very tool she used to construct her Hollywood image, to project that aura of sophisticated glamour, ultimately led to her passing from emphysema in 1991. The irony is particularly savage. Gene Tierney received her only Academy Award nomination for the 1945 film Leave Her to Heaven. In it, she delivered a chilling performance as Ellen Barrett, a psychotically possessive woman who allows her disabled brother-in-law to drown. The industry awarded her its highest praise for portraying a character whose monstrous actions inflicted the very kind of familial tragedy that she, in her own life, was forced to endure. A life defined by the profound, unexpected disability of her own child. Her story is a poignant reminder of the profound, often cruel, interplay between art and life and the hidden burdens carried by those we idolize on screen. The stories of Lyle Talbot, Orson Welles, Hedy Lamarr, Montgomery Clift, and Gene Tierney are more than just tales of Hollywood. They are echoes of a bygone era, whispers of the hidden costs of fame, and a stark reminder that behind every dazzling performance, every iconic image, there lay a human being, vulnerable, complex, and often battling unseen forces. Lyle Talbot's secret, the silent fight he waged for justice and dignity, illuminates the profound pressures that shaped the lives of his contemporaries. Their struggles, their triumphs, and their heartbreaks remind us that the golden age was not always golden for those who lived it. It was a time of immense creativity, yes, but also of profound sacrifice. As we close this chapter, let us remember their artistry, but also the humanity they shared, the battles they fought, and the lessons they left behind. Take care of yourselves and hold your loved ones close. Memory is the only thing that truly lasts forever.